Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing one of their past projects. We will let you decide if it was good or bad or just plain ugly. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is daisy chains. A daisy chain in real estate refers to a situation where multiple intermediaries or middlemen are involved in a transaction, each looking to make a profit by passing the deal along to the next party in the chain. This can occur when a property is marketed through a series of wholesalers before reaching the end buyer. While networking and collaboration are essential in real estate, daisy chains can pose significant risks for investors. Here are 6 reasons why it's important to avoid daisy chains. Number 1, increased costs. Each wholesaler in the daisy chain typically adds their commission or fee to the deal. As a result, the final cost for the end buyer becomes inflated, reducing potential profit margins for investors. Number 2, communication challenges. With multiple parties involved, communication becomes more complex. Misunderstandings, delays, and information gaps are more likely to occur, increasing the risk of errors or problems in the transaction process. Number 3, reduced control. The more wholesalers involved, the less control an investor has over the deal. This lack of control can lead to unforeseen issues such as changes in terms or unexpected obstacles, which may negatively impact the investment. Number 4, unreliable information. Information about the property may become distorted as it passes through multiple hands. Critical details or potential issues with the property may not be accurately conveyed, leading to unpleasant surprises for the end buyer. Number 5, diminished credibility. In the real estate industry, credibility is crucial. Engaging in daisy chains may harm your reputation as a serious and reliable investor, potentially affecting future opportunities and partnerships. Finally, number 6, legal and ethical concerns. Depending on local regulations, daisy chaining may raise legal and ethical concerns. Some jurisdictions have specific rules regarding who can be involved in a real estate transaction and the disclosure of fees. Engaging in a daisy chain without understanding these regulations can lead to legal complications. So, when entering the real estate market, focus on building direct relationships with sellers, agents, and other professionals involved in the industry. By avoiding daisy chains, you can enhance your credibility, protect your investments, and set the foundation for a more successful and sustainable real estate venture. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us one of my all-time favorite humans, Rob McIntosh. In 2001, Rob became involved in real estate and co-founded Arcane Properties with his son, Bob. They have been involved in all aspects of real estate, such as fix and flip properties, rental units of all sizes, and commercial properties. Rob is also a part owner of a real estate brokerage in Western New York. His brokerage continues to grow as they are one of the few brokerages that is truly investor friendly. In addition to that, Rob is also one of the best real estate investor coaches out there. He has coached for some of the largest real estate educational companies here in the U.S., having completed over 12,000 coaching calls in the last 10 years. I am honored to call him friend and thrilled to have him back on the show. So welcome, Rob.
Thank you. Thank you, Jen. It's always good to be back on your podcast.
I love having you on here, and we are going to talk about another past project. And if you missed the first time he was on here, he talked about a doozy past project. And I can remember you almost got arrested. You lost like $40,000 and just some crazy.
Jen, you were going to bail me out, you said, when the police came and got me.
Some absolutely crazy stuff. But anyway, Rob, always a pleasure to have you on here. And I just want to preface by saying thank you for believing in me. And I've said this publicly, and I want to publicly announce it on the show. You are the reason why I am coaching and working with Tariq Al Musa, which has been such a dream and such an amazing experience. So thank you so much for that. And I will be forever grateful. And yes, I will pull you out of jail next time. So you call me, you keep me on speed dial. So let's go to how you got started in real estate. We'll go over this quickly. What is Arcane Properties? I don't think I remember the story. Where's Arcane from?
I don't know. Bob came up with this name. My son came up with this name. It has some Greek mythology background to it, etc. Like growing and I guess I didn't really pay much attention to it because I was working one of my other businesses. I am a serial entrepreneur. I have multiple businesses, totally outside of the real estate world as well. But in essence, we just started with one little duplex, and that was fine, no issue whatsoever. Like most people, we did that in our backyard, and then we did one flip, which overall went well. Every flip has a few issues, but overall that went well. And we did a second flip closer to where Bob was living, which was in Kearney, New Jersey. That one, we won't get into that today. That was a contract. That's where you learn the contract. That was a 203B, where the contractor has to sign off because the bank is funding it and the rest. So he's a licensed contractor. That license is like, I don't know what type of contractor license or how he got it, but maybe he paid someone to take the exam for him. I don't know. But anyways, we started with that, and then we just ramped it up from there and slowly started adding, like many investors, started thinking rather than the fix and flip model, which is nothing is wrong with that. It's quick money comes in. Well, when I say quick money in the sense of 6-8 months, typically range, you're in and out. We started building basically our rental portfolio, and that's what I've been since the pandemic, which hard to believe is like 3 years ago at this particular point in time. We've just been building our rental portfolio at this point. We still do flips if the pricing is right. Then we have several other businesses as well. But in essence, right now, our rental portfolio, we're up to 32 units.
Nice.
So that's been, buying 1, 2, 3 a year over time, so to speak. So that's a little bit of the background on this.
Well, today we are going to talk about one of your rental units. And most of your rentals up in New York? Because you live in Florida now, so you have migrated. And by the way, if you ever move to North Carolina, we'll call you a halfback, because we have New Yorkers move from New York down to Florida. And then if they move to North Carolina, we call them halfbacks because they only made it halfway back. that is a thing. One. I swear it is. Yes. So
the rentals are all in the Buffalo, New York market, which has its pros and cons. Okay. And what we're going to be talking about today, not to spoil, is rentals, the bad side of rentals, the word eviction. Okay.
And by the way, you just said something which is really important. So today's drinking game, everybody out there, go ahead and grab yourself a drink, because every time Rob says, okay, we get to drink. I brought out 2 seltzers. Open. All right. I'm sorry I cut you off. So we are going to talk about evicting people, which is not the fun side of real estate. But another added layer is this is happening in New York, which is a tenant-friendly state. So for the listeners out there that are wanting to jump into rentals, you really want to research this, because I was just telling you before we hit record, we just put an offer on a quad up in DC, and I was like, ugh. And I went to a lunch and they're like, that's a tenant friendly state. I'm like, oh shit. So anyway, I'm very eager to hear about this, especially in a non-landlord friendly state. So let's go to the basics of the property. How did you find the property? Tell us about it. How many beds and baths, all that fun stuff.
This was part of a bigger deal, multiple properties. A gentleman, unfortunately, had cancer and did not want to leave the properties to his wife, who was managing himself. He just wanted to cash out. So this is a triplex, a 2 upstairs, 1 downstairs, 3,200 square foot house. Okay. It is on the A through D scale rating, of A being like a luxury apartment, D being a war zone. I would say this is a B minus C plus.
Okay.
It's a working class neighborhood. Okay. And I like that group, because there's a lot of people out there from a landlord's perspective that there's no polite way of putting it. They just don't make a lot of money, but they need some place to live.
Right.
Okay. And, this fits that perfectly. I used to be doing my own property management. I gave up on that after a particular incident that I've had some doozies. Okay. That one, we had not this unit that we're going to talk about today, but I gave up doing it myself after we had a suicide in one of our apartments. Don't want to go through that again. Very bad situation, especially being a Vietnam veteran. Just sad, so to speak. But in essence, this is a triplex, as I said. So it is a 3-bedroom on the downstairs. The entire downstairs is one big unit. And then the upstairs is broken into a 1-bedroom and a 2-bedroom unit.
So really quick, you said it was a group of rentals.
Yep.
So this was he wanted to sell off a portfolio loan. So you bought the entire portfolio? There
was 3 properties within the portfolio, one a quadplex, one a triplex, and one a duplex.
Nice.
So we bought it, and it was let's put it this way, he had neglected them to an extent, but not bad. That's one of the things we try to do, different strokes for different folks, I guess you could say. In essence, they were all occupied, and we basically upgraded them. The market rent he was collecting was below market rent, because he had, I don't want to say neglected, but basically just was doing the absolute bare minimum.
Right.
So as the people eventually moved out, most of those moved out voluntarily. We would bump the rent up a little bit, but I'm not talking like you see in the news where we're bumping it up $500, $1,000, etc. In our area, a 3-bedroom typically goes for $1,000 to $1,200, maybe $1,300 is the typical rent range. The 2 bedrooms go on average from $750 to $900, and single bedrooms typically are in the $700 range, plus minus. So, again, that market price to many people who may be listening may sound insane. Okay, especially in a higher price market. So, like you mentioned, Washington D.C., I bet it's $3,000 a month for a 2-bedroom. Maybe I'm wrong.
So a 2-1 in the area where this quad is located is $1,600, but 2 of the units are 4-bedroom, 2-bath. They're huge. Right. Mm-hmm. And those go for a minimum of $3,000 a month. So I'm jumping on it. But again,
sounds good.
Until you tell me how hard it is to have to go through the eviction process here.
We do have professional property management in place now. I'm very happy with them. They handle, I would say, 95% of the issues. In fact, we just had one today, because the software they use, I get emailed on any work order that's placed by a tenant. They just, it's just like I'm CC'd on it. We have a broken toilet tank on the upper portion of it. It's leaking, fortunately. They put a small Tupperware container or something. They took pictures, actually. Wow. etc. saying this needs to be fixed ASAP. And the plumber should be there right about now. It's supposed to show up between 1:30 and 2.
Nice.
So, it does work. But
what do you pay for your property management, by the way? Is it like a percentage?
Yeah, okay. It's a percentage. They do. I have them do everything. They collect the rent. They handle absolutely every aspect of it. I just hop on because I'm an over controlling person. I hop on every morning. It's one of my routines. I hop on, check and see if there's any work orders that maybe came in over the evening, and checking on delinquent tenants. You will still have delinquent tenants. I can guarantee you that. I have some that it's fine as long as I know. Like we have one who paid bi-weekly. He'll pay half the rent 1 week, and then like 2 weeks later on payday, he'll pay the rest of the rent. I'm okay with that.
Right.
As long as I get the money, so to speak. But they do all the vetting, okay, and they do vet professionally. Now, again, this is something that you do have to be cognizant of the rules in your state of what you can and cannot ask, and that will vary from state to state. Okay, so definitely follow up on that. There should be books out there.
What percentage do you pay them?
Oh, I'm sorry. We pay them. I have a sweetheart deal. To the average person, it's 10%. To us, because I help them start their business, etc.
Nice.
We're at 8.5%.
That is a sweetheart deal. Wow.
Yeah, that's a sweetheart deal. Now, the maintenance fee, in the sense of if they have to send a technician out there, they normally charge $85 for the trip out and up to 1 hour of time. That is a freaking steal if you've ever had a repair person come for anything. I'm only paying $65 for the service call, and that gets me the first hour repair, and then it's billed in 15-minute increments after that. And they pay themselves. I get a full invoice of all the work that was done, pictures, etc., and then they bill me. They're good at billing themselves or paying themselves. I will say that. As soon as that invoice, they pay themselves within 5 days. But hey, you got to take the good with the bad.
Right.
But in essence, just be aware of the rules. I always do my evictions. Now that I have property management, we do them 100% legally with attorneys. In New York State, we have to do everything with attorneys. When I was doing it myself, most of the people would just voluntarily leave. Okay, you aren't paying rent. You're slap up the notice on the door, etc. And most of the time, you cannot let them take advantage of you. I'm sure you've heard this before. You're having problems and the rest. I'm sorry you lost your job and the rest. What we have actually done, or what property management has done, something to think about if you're in the rental world, is created an entire list of social services, where to call for your county, other sources, YWCA, YMCA, Salvation Army. They have a whole list of companies or services or entities, whatever you want to call them, that will help people that are a little bit down on their luck. Okay. So, we give that to them, etc. It's at least a way of trying to get them to do something versus nothing.
Absolutely.
Right? So that's something to be aware of. But in essence, they vet them. In New York State, we vet basically on FICO score. Okay. We do charge, absolutely. This is the way that we, the easy ones out. We charge it's capped in New York State at a stupid price of $18 is the maximum you can charge on a credit check.
Wow.
You're going to pay more than that, okay? But that's the maximum you can charge. You do not have to refund that back to the person.
What about a criminal background? Do you do that as well?
That's all part of it. So we're doing the FICO, the eviction report. There actually is an eviction database out there, and then we also do the sex offender list, which is public information for everybody. We do unfortunately have to check on that. And then what was the one you just mentioned? I apologize. What was the last one?
Criminal background check.
Criminal background check. Right. So we do all those. We tell them before they even fill out the application, these will all be pulled. So in other words, so they're not trying to shit, they'll never check it.
Right,
and
exactly.
Then they bitch and moan, well, why did you let me apply? They make them on their website check off, boom, boom, boom. You've read the above, you acknowledge the above, check here. It's crazy, but that's the level some of these people go to.
I have a quick question. You said a maximum of $18 is what you can charge them. I know in North Carolina, when we do a background check and a credit check, it's $25 a piece. So they have to pay $50 just to even put in an application. So literally, who's paying the rest of it? Or do you just have a company up there that does it for $18?
No, we eat it.
Wow.
Well, you got to remember, we don't have to refund back people we don't take. So we're averaging it out. So you may, like right now, we have 2 available apartments. We have over 18 applications. So 18 times 18, I'm going to be able to subsidize it back and forth a bit. Okay. But, that's the way it is right now for New York State. Okay. So, again, every state's going to be a little bit different. We do vet them. They have to provide 2 months worth of paycheck stubs. Or we also do the landlord check. I want to talk about landlord checks for just a minute.
Okay.
Where you actually call the previous landlord. It is surprising how many applications will say landlord, Peter Smith. They don't have a phone number or an email for Peter Smith. Okay. So sometimes you have to push them for a little more info. Okay. We do check with the landlords to get their, did this person leave voluntarily? Are they leaving voluntarily? Sometimes we get the, holy shit, I didn't even know they're leaving. Okay. But you also have to remember the slightly, again, because property management's involved, we really don't answer this question, but I've had it and answer it this way. Oh, sure. Yeah. Had no problem with them at all. No problem. Because they want to get them out of their place as soon as possible. So they're not necessarily giving you a honest answer. Okay.
Very good point.
So you got to take that one with a grain of salt. Okay. If you are working with a property management company, like that other landlord that they're leaving, odds are you're going to get an accurate answer. Okay. Odds are. You can take the time and do some other checking, but usually the credit score shows you a lot too. Okay.
Sure.
There are different formulas for this, to each their own, what they want to go with. Okay. Also, there can be issues with, we'll call it, you may have 2 people that are not married, they're partners or roommates, whatever, going together. I'm going through this right now with one that's very slow on paying. Her roommate up and left her. Whatever the reason, I don't really care. All I want is my freaking rent money. Okay. And it's really slow getting it. Okay. So, we politely said, well, why can't you get a new roommate? Well, I don't want a roommate anymore. Well, I understand that, but, whatever. So you just got to be aware of that scenario. Okay. But in essence, there's just a lot of things. So we do vet them. The criminal check background is very easy. That's a no-brainer. The eviction, at least in our area, the eviction is a full database from the court cases. There are companies that actually do this. Every time they go to housing court and get the list of everybody who's freaking, has a housing court case. Okay. And they get the names and the rest, and they publish it as public information. Okay. So there's, that can be helpful. Okay. You're just trying to weed the ones out, or the one, like another thing on the credit report, for example, what is your lowest FICO score you're going to consider acceptable? Okay. Again, there is a lot of people that I see, because I see the applications, I actually have to sign off on who we rent to. They can give me the list of the top 2 or 3 people, and then I make the decision as to who we're going to take. But it can be a bit of a challenge because they I see a lot of, unfortunately, delinquencies, not so much in the last since the pandemic, but it's going to kick back into effect this month.
Yep.
Okay. Education loan, education loan, education loan, education loan, education loan. Holy crap, you're making $2,000 a month, and it shows that your monthly education payment is $1,200.
Right.
There's no freaking way you're going to have a car, make a car payment. You got a Visa card, you got not JCPenney anymore, but various Kohl's and other ones. I'm looking for the FICO score and mostly looking for delinquencies. Okay. Who are they paying first? Okay. Obviously you want to be the first person they're paying. Okay. But think about it. If they've got a car payment and they got to drive to get to work, if they pay you and they don't have money to make the car payment, I guarantee tow truck's going to be showing up, lift, boom, and that car is gone. Okay. So it's a balancing act on that. And again, I've seen FICO scores that are terrible, but they have a decent paying job.
And I'm glad you're bringing this up because we recently had to, Thank goodness we didn't have to go through an eviction process, but we are tight on cash right now. And so one of our options was to sell off one of our assets. So we looked through our rentals that we currently have, and there's one that had the most equity in the property. And I was like, we just got to cut him loose. He's been a great tenant. And one of the things I learned about credit score, because he did not have a great credit score, but he worked for a very reputable roofing company. And I kind of knew, like, I definitely connected with this gentleman.
Right.
So we kind of gave him a deal where we said, all right, we'll take the lower credit score. But a thing that I learned, and this is a great nugget for the listeners, is if they do automatic draft from your bank account, that will help build your credit back up. So we're hemming and hawing because we just love this guy. He's lived there for 4 years. He's been an amazing tenant. And I sent an email. I'm like, I'm so sorry. We are going to have to sell the property. Do you want to stay there that we sell it? And he's like, oh my gosh, I have been dreading to reach out to you because you guys have been such great landlords. But I just got approved to buy a house, and I've been hemming and hawing on how I could tell you. I'm like, the stars have aligned.
Yep.
But the whole point of that story is his credit was improved by doing those, direct drafts from his auto draft, thank you, from his bank account. And that really improved his credit score. And so he was able to purchase a house. So that is a very lovely, warm, fuzzy story. So I want to dive into this story here. We are talking about, 321 Washburn. Is that what it is?
Yep. That's the address, 321 Washburn.
And you sent me some lovely photos.
Yeah, that's some of the photos there I sent her.
I've seen worse, but
this is up there. This is up there. But anyways, we had 2 evictions in the same building going simultaneously. Okay, which the one fortunately or unfortunately, one I was getting my payments. There was no problem. He was a Section 8 tenant. I know I'm getting my rent payment.
Right.
The problem we had was his filth, which is some of the pictures that you saw. His ability to take care of the place was not even close to acceptable.
Got it.
And we gave him 3 warnings. This is an item that I recommend on rentals. We go through every rental property twice a year. So there's a 6-month inspection. Every 6 months, we do a quick walkthrough. Is that written in,
like on the lease, or okay?
Yep.
Because we don't do that. We had not stepped foot in this property for 4 years. I know that's horrible.
It could be a blessing or a curse. That's why the reason we do this, okay, is because of a situation that just irritated the bejesus out of me. Okay, basically. They claimed they had no heat in the middle of winter. That's a problem.
Right.
Okay. So anyways, I was asking property management called me to authorize an emergency technician to go out there to get their heat restored or deliver some portable heat units to get them through. Okay. All these repairs never occur on a weekday. They always occur on Fridays.
Of course.
Okay. Or Saturdays. So, but anyways, he got there. It was so stupid. 2 AA batteries in the thermostat said, there's no LED readout at all on the thermostat. Changed 2, boop, he's up and running. Okay. But what the weird thing is while the guy was there, he kept hearing the chirp, beep, 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 smoke detector, low battery. If you've ever had that, they only go off in the middle of the night, it seems like to me.
Of course.
But, in essence, so he's there. He says, well, I'm here anyways. I thought, how do you sleep with that up in the upstairs hallway right by the bedroom doors? I just put a pillow over my head. Okay. So, they are hardwired as well. Okay. Most of ours are hardwired.
Right.
Okay. But in essence, it was still doing the beepy thing. Okay. But what irritated me more so than that was when he checked on the one going to the basement as well as one in the main living area. The mounting plate is on the ceiling. Smoke detector's gone.
Oh.
This guy has 3 kids. I'm thinking, gee whiz, this is real good. You're trying to, if something happens, carbon monoxide, the furnace is malfunction, whatever, et cetera. I guarantee you, I'm sorry to say this, you will as a landlord be sued, even if the smoke detectors they sign off that they were there when they moved in.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter. I guarantee that an attorney will somehow twist that it's your fault that you did not check on this.
Oh
Okay,
my
so
goodness.
that's the reason why, and generally just to check it out to make sure the place is reasonable. This is how 321 second floor got caught. We checked that unit, and when the guys walk in or the technician walks in, it was piggy. We document it, we photograph it, send them a letter, you got to clean the place up. But when they got to the bedroom, that's when it was a little bit of a challenge. He has a full grow room going in the bedroom. He has tarps on the floor, an indoor kiddie swimming pool. And the plants are all growing in that on little platforms. There's 35 marijuana plants. And New York allows marijuana.
Okay.
5 plant maximum. Okay. He's a little above 5 at 35. Okay. Yet he's Section 8. I'm thinking, here's the taxpayers' money being inappropriately spent, but whatever. So, it just, that's what set it off. And in essence, basically, his caseworker got involved and he refused to clean his act up. We'll put it that way. And he's out, so it is what it is. You can only go so far. So that one wasn't too bad to get him out. But again, in New York State, and again, this will vary from state to state. I was talking to Jen before we started. We can only collect 1 month security deposit, which cannot exceed the value of the rent. Now, this place was renting for $950 a month, so we got a $950 security deposit. Legally in New York State, we cannot charge more than that. There are insurance companies out there. You can go that way, et cetera. We're not going to talk about that today. But in essence, if you think about it, $950 on any type of recondition is barely going to do anything.
It's not going to cover
paint job,
anything. Nope.
Like virtually a cleaning lady in the paint job and you've blown through more than $950.
Right.
Okay. So you got to think about that a little bit, et cetera. So anyways, that's something to be aware of. You can check out that renter's insurance. There are different companies out there. I'll just mention 2 quick names. No pro and con. One's Say Rhino. It's a weird name, SAY-Rhino, like a rhinoceros. Okay. Say Rhino. And another one is the Guarantors, just like it sounds, Guarantors insurance company. You can find them online. There's pros and cons, different ways you can market it, etc. Typical cost is $1,000 per year. But if you think about it, the landlord, there's a whole bunch of rules. Landlord cannot pay for this. It has to be paid by the tenant.
Okay.
There's a whole bunch of rules, but think about it, $1,000 each year, you're gonna blow through that. And this gives you $5,000 worth of coverage, which will cover most projects. Okay. Most. But anyways, that was that one. Is a simple thing. That's why we do the 6-month check. Okay. That particular, you saw those pictures. Ask me, give me your opinion, Jen. What do you think the cost? I know you didn't see all of them. What do you think the rehab cost or improvement cost to bring that back to rentable would be in a dollar figure?
Well, it's just filthy. And I see cigarettes in here, so you have a smell, of course.
Right. Don't forget the cat, too. He had a cat, so we have the cat pee, too.
I see the sink has like a ring around it that was,
isn't it ironic? There's a bar of soap next to the sink.
Just looking at that. But and there's a Swiffer next to all this garbage in the kitchen with all this, and a French fry. I see a French fry down there. Yeah. So to me, we're talking a deep clean. God, the floor is disgusting.
That's poop on the floor, by the way.
So we have smell issues, which you can't tell from the pictures.
Right.
You paint, carpet, new flooring. The appliances looked a little rough. How long did this gentleman live in this property?
He was there for 2.5 years.
Okay. So I'm going to go with, how large is the unit?
It's small. It's only a 1-bedroom. I would estimate probably about 750, 800 maximum square feet.
So I'm going to guess about 3,000.
Yeah, it was a little bit more than that. It was closer to 5 because there was some bathroom issues that you don't see there. But that's not his fault. There was some plumbing issues where his waste line from the tub and the toilet was old-fashioned cast iron plumbing. had rotted the pipe out and it was dripping poo onto the drop ceiling on the first floor.
Oh, God.
So that was a little bit of an extra repair cost there. But
Whew.
I mean, it adds up. We'll put it this way, it adds up really quick.
Okay. So you do the 6-month checks.
Right.
And,
right. That's one thing.
And is now, I don't want to get confused here because I know you had two going on. The one who is growing the pot plants, is that the one we're talking? Is that his place right here?
That's the one. Yeah, that's the one you're looking at there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and he was Section 8 as well, correct?
He was Section 8, yes.
So how do you like working with Section 8? We don't have one of our units is not Section 8, but it is paid by a government entity for
some form of a government entity is subsidizing it or paying.
Correct. And it is fabulous. But that is the one that always needs the most attention because we always have to go in there and keep continuously fix things. But how do you like it? Yeah.
I mean, in a way, I like it because I absolutely unconditionally know I'm getting my check, especially during the pandemic. Those who were Section 8 landlords, of course, they loved it because, in essence, even in New York State, I had one tenant going back to the pandemic who said, well, Governor Cuomo, now Governor Hochul, says we don't have to pay our rent. That's how the average person interprets.
Right.
Well, that isn't necessarily exactly correct. Okay. So, we only had 3 people of 32 that were not paying rent during the pandemic, which I was very happy about. And then there was a program in New York State, a rental assistance program that they applied for. We actually filled all the paperwork out for them, gave them the envelope, stamped the envelope, did everything for them. All they had to do was sign on the X and drop it in the mail. And then we would get reimbursed. Although it was a lengthy program to get through the whole process, it worked out. But in essence, making a long story short, Section 8, I've had really great response with, and I've had this is the worst one I've had. I personally think this guy had some mental issues going on as well. Okay. I can't prove that, none of my business, but I think based on it, that didn't get that bad in 2.5 years. I think that because we had been checking every 6 months, it may have been messy, but it wasn't to that level of ridiculousness. Right. So to speak.
All right. So you go through, you do a walkthrough, and you decide, nope, this guy's breaking all the rules. He's got too many pot plants in here. Right. So we need to start the eviction process. So in the state of New York, how does this work?
We use attorneys. It is a lengthy process. It typically will take from start to finish approximately 3 months.
Okay.
It could take longer. All right. Rarely is it shorter, but in essence, you have to serve them notice that has to be served by a process servicer. It also has to be put on their door, and we send it in addition regular mail, and we also send it certified return receipt mail. So one way or the other, they're getting their notification that basically the eviction process, and there will be a court date listed on that paperwork. Okay. Sometimes they show up to housing court. Sometimes they don't show up to housing court. This usually is a 3-week advance notice. So, depending on whatever day it's served, and then again, it rounds upwards because housing court isn't every day in my area. It's once a week or once every 2 weeks, depending on the county. So in essence, they round up. So you might, depending on different scenarios, it could be a month before they actually have to show up in court. Okay. Now, sometimes they show up in court. Sometimes they don't. Sometimes they show up in court with a pro bono attorney. Okay. There is actually attorneys, usually law students, cutting their teeth, so to speak, claiming that all landlords are money grubbing people and all. Our biggest problem is carrying the gold bullion to the bank. Okay. That's why I have so many back problems. Okay. But in essence, the judges are usually, at least in my area, the judges are realistic. Okay. Another important thing you should find out in your state. In New York, it is public. You can get all these housing rules and regulations. Believe it or not, New York has a whole landlord booklet. It's like 42 pages.
Wow.
Okay. It says what you can, you can't do. I mean, it's all broken out there. One of the important things basically is there's a lot of things in there, but for unpaid rent, They can't just say, well, the place is unlivable. He didn't fix my toilet. He didn't fix my electrical. My sink isn't working, blah, blah, blah. That's all fine and dandy. Okay. But the rent has to be put into escrow in a bank account that the tenant can control. It can be his regular checking account. Okay.
Wow.
But it must be put into escrow to show good faith on the tenant's part.
Interesting.
Okay. It can also be put in a court. You can open an account in the court system and put the money in there, and they'll hold it until this is resolved by the judge. Okay. I would say 99.9992586% of the people never do that. Okay. They just can't really pay the rent. So They just simply say, my car payment's more important, or my utility payment is more important, or my Verizon iPhone 16 or whatever number we're up to is more important. And my cable TV, whatever, everything else is more important than the rent. Okay. Usually utilities and car are the big two. Okay. Et cetera. So in essence, just be aware of that, because I use that very often, saying, fine, judge, he claims this place, we didn't fix all these issues, et cetera. We'd like to see proof that he put the money, the rent, into escrow. Oh, you didn't, sir? Oh, well, that's a violation. My attorney instantly goes, in that case, boom, he's out.
Wow.
He didn't follow the rules. Now, it doesn't always work. Sometimes the judge will say, well, I didn't know about that, and I didn't bring my checkbook with me, blah, blah, blah. Usually the judge goes, well, there's probably an app on your phone. Can you pull it up and show it's sitting in your checking account, your savings account? Oh, I don't remember my password.
Oh, my goodness.
Whatever. But that's an important little loophole that gets us out of a lot of these from that perspective. Okay. The other thing I just want to bring up is, again, we have property management, but if you are doing this yourself, you absolutely, positively, unconditionally need to basically document everything. If it's a text message to you that the toilet isn't working, start a file, print that text message off, or create a computer folder. Everything needs to be documented so that when you show up, and we take pictures when we fix the problem as well.
Oh, that's smart.
Okay. And we also, if it requires a professional plumber, professional whatever, we get a copy of the receipt for that plumber, for that electrician, for that whatever, and we put that in the file as well. He said that we didn't fix the toilet. Well, here's the invoice from ABC Plumbing, and here's the date, etc., that it was done. Okay. We also do not show any additional calls from him saying that they didn't fix it properly. So we feel this is null and void on this particular
and here's
item.
A photo.
Yeah. Right. So in essence, we definitely do document all of that. Okay. So again, paperwork, and the devil is in the details, as you've heard that saying before, is very important when you go before a judge. Okay. You have to have all your I's dotted, T's crossed, so on and so forth. So document everything. We also, on that 321 Washburn Street, the first floor was a very unique scenario. Is a boyfriend, girlfriend, or I'm not sure if they're married, but they've been together numerous years. Okay. They both work. Okay. Their credit score was, everything was decent. Their landlord said they left. The reason they left was the neighbors are too noisy. Okay. That really wasn't a problem with them. Okay. But anyways, they moved in. 3 months in, everything is fine. The third month in, no rent payment. Okay. Well, the one person lost their job. Okay. Crap happens. I get that. Okay. Well, fine. Let's set up a payment plan. That's another important thing. Just don't say, oh, and whatever you do, if you don't have a payment plan, do not accept a $50 here, $125 there, because every time you do that, you're moving everything forward in the eviction process.
Yes.
Okay.
So this is big in North Carolina, because if you start the eviction process and then because of non-payment, for example, but then if they send you a check, even if it's a portion of it, that wipes it out completely. So you are not to take any money once you start this eviction process, which can be very challenging. So thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah, that definitely can be you want that money so bad, but at the same time, you're just kicking the can down the road.
Yes.
Okay. So, it's something to be aware of. Okay. But anyways, this person, it just went from problem to problem. Of course, with property management, every work order is tracked from start to finish when it was submitted. They're all, in the computer timestamped, etc. In the first 3 months, he had 2 issues, which were minor issues. We won't waste time on it, but like his sink was leaking, big freaking deal. It doesn't really affect anything. And the bathroom fan made a noise. It was clunky, whatever, big freaking deal. It's not an inhabitability problem. Like I can't live here because of this issue. At about the 4th through 6th month point, he racked up another 28 work orders. And, that's virtually, it was literally daily or by every other day, something. Okay. Then it got worse. No one can enter his property unless he or his girlfriend/wife are physically there, because he's afraid that the technicians will steal his personal belongings. Okay. Fine. So we set up the specific times and dates. He's not there. Okay. We got to the point where we would text and call and email the day before, sort of like doctors do now. They email you the day before or text you the day before. Hey, we're going to be there between 10 and 10:30, blah, blah, blah. Type Y to confirm this appointment. We get no response, not a yes or a no. So we have to default to showing up. Show up, no one's there.
Wow.
Finally got to the point where we said, we are submitting this well in advance under an emergency situation. We will enter the unit even if you are not there. That did elicit a response. You enter, call 911 before you enter, because I will blow your ass away. Okay, now that's a threat. Okay.
Wow.
So property management says, we're not sending our technician there at all, period, unless the cops are with them. Now the cops are being dragged into this. They don't want to spend their time going around on this stuff, etc. So we didn't fix anything. Fortunately, we have this, in writing, or every call to property management is recorded as well in their system. So, when you go to the judge, well, here, listen to this little 30-second tidbit, Judge.
Wow.
It went downhill faster and faster. And in essence, basically, he called one time claiming he had no heat or hot water. We're like, and we can't evict. See, a lot of landlords might do that deliberately to get them out. Okay. Because once they're physically out of the place, you may be able to very, very fine line, claim no one's there, change all the door locks, etc. And he's out, etc. But that's getting into really, in a court of law, that is not going to work. Okay. So in essence, basically, we sent a technician out. We billed him for the technician, because when we got there, the reason he has no gas for the furnace and no gas for the hot water is because the gas meter is pinned by the utility company. They put if you've seen your gas meter, they turn the little knob and they put a funky little special lock thing on it, etc., because he didn't pay his utility bill.
Wow.
So, he has electricity because that is paid by me, but he pays the gas. Okay. So we replumbed the house. So there's 3 gas meters, but only 1 electric meter. So, you can see where this was heading. In essence, we just wanted him out. He then came up with the answer in court that he has the money, etc., and that he was going to, after court, we said, fine, if you're going to catch up on all the rent, this point is close to just under $6,000. Okay. In essence, you have to pay it by XYZ date. It has to be a bank check or a money order, etc. Of course, naturally, that check never came. He did send a check for $1,000, which we rejected.
Good.
Okay. So it just was really beyond belief. And then in the very final end, the last time before the judge, the eviction was all set. The notices are all on the door. Everything's a go. For example, today being Thursday, we get a notice from the sheriff office that a emergency request for a stay of eviction has been filed in the court system by this tenant, claiming that we're doing all these bad things and basically the house is inhabitable. You cannot live there because we are not fixing anything. Yeah, it was bad. So now we got to get to housing court again. It's not every day.
Oh my gosh.
So that was another week and a half to get into housing court. We get there. The judge is not happy. Okay. He says, well, now he has the pro bono attorney with him. Okay. Claiming all this. My attorney talks to that attorney ahead of time, of course, saying this is all BS. Okay.
We can say bullshit.
Here's the whole file of all the documents that we've done. We understand. And the guy goes, well, I understand, but I got to represent my client to the best of my ability. So we are still going forward. You do not evict him. The judge just got really pissed. Said, if you can't, he says, it's early in the morning. It's 10 o'clock. I'm here to 1 o'clock. The bank, every bank, what bank do you bank at? He goes, well, that branch is literally just 2 blocks away. I want you to go down there, get a bank draft, bring all the money back. You said you have it. Okay. Bring that check back. We'll enter that into the court system. And in essence, we, the court, after it clears, will pay the landlord, etc. And my attorney said, we don't care. We don't want the money. We want him out.
Good.
So in essence, the judge, okay, in that case, you're out. So eviction day comes. Okay. Now, meanwhile, this is a triplex. Okay. The 2 other tenants are scared shitless of this guy. Okay. He seems to be in, again, some form of possibly a mental or anger management issue. Okay. Because we entered into evidence 2 police calls from his girlfriend for spousal abuse. So obviously he has some anger management issues. Okay. They're scared to even talk. They're like, oh my God, if I see him, I'll walk, around the house, totally go in a different door before I walk by him. They're scared crapless of this guy. So anyways, the eviction comes, and overall he was out pretty well. Okay.
And so when the eviction happens, is he being escorted out by police or what?
He was already gone, but yes, we actually pay the money as an upcharge for us to have the sheriff physically there, and we give them the keys. Okay, open it up. Except, well, he knocks first. I just can't imagine doing that job. One sheriff every day, his entire life. Well, that's all he does. Go from house to house evicting people. That's got to be a depressing job.
That's horrible. Okay.
But in essence, he did not answer the door. So then it was, okay, he takes the key and locks it. He makes us go stand way off on the side, pulls his taser, okay, because he doesn't know what he's walking into. Okay, is the guy sleeping? Is the guy there? Who knows? Okay, he already sees the record of anger management. Okay, so, he's a little more on guard, you might say. He's gone. It wasn't that bad. I mean, it wasn't great, but it wasn't that bad other than the 6 holes punched into the wall.
I didn't see those in the picture.
No, that was I didn't send you those pictures. But, I mean, the kitchen sink, he just stacked tons of dishes, and it's all this gooey, like he filled it up like it was just a mess. And, yeah, it just wasn't good. We'll put it that way. It wasn't bad, but wasn't great. But he left a ton of stuff there. New York State, when you do an eviction, all merchandise, other than what, and this is a loose interpretation, is junk, must be packaged by the landlord and saved for 30 days.
Oh my gosh. And by the way, folks, these pictures, it looks like somebody's still living there because it is completely full of furniture. Oh my
So we
goodness.
have to store this stuff for 30 days. So we package all the clothing up in heavy duty garbage bags. We just put it in the fortunately, this house has a basement. We put it down in the basement, etc. So whatever my contractor goes to the basement, etc. And then he calls me, says, Rob, we have a problem in the basement. I was like, what else could go wrong? He goes, the common washer and dryer that all the tenants use in the basement, it's there. It's not functional. He took the electric cords and cut the electric cords.
My gosh.
Took a hammer in the control panel, like on the top back, is smashed to pieces. And there's water has been dumped into the dryer, and it's half full till at the bottom of the dryer is full of water. Yeah, that's going above and beyond. So we have to document this. Now, we are suing this gentleman, okay, for all the damages. Now, again, we'll probably get the judgment. There's no doubt about that. But a judgment is great on paper, but it doesn't put money in your checking account. So, but he apparently is still employed. Now, what I find is ironic, he never changes his mailing address. So his mail is still coming there. Okay. So, in essence, we just keep writing on it, move, no forwarding address on file, mailman takes it, etc. The one envelope, okay, I don't remember this. The one envelope says, welcome new team member, etc. And it's Tops Grocery Store, which is a large grocery store chain in our area. Okay. So apparently he's got a new job at Tops. Well, I didn't open the envelope, but that's good to me. So we take a picture on our phone, send it to our attorney, go garnish his wages over at Tops.
Wow.
And we're garnishing his wife's wages. That is still due to go to court to determine how much they can afford. Okay. But, these are just some of the little things. Now, I know this sounds like you say to yourself, why would anyone want to be a landlord? Okay. There's lots of reasons. There's, as you probably know, there's tax deductions that you can take, a lot of advantages of course, the appreciation in the value of the property. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't put money in your checking account, but odds are real estate 99% of the time moves upwards, rarely does it move downwards. Okay. Rental prices are definitely up from where they have been. Okay. They've leveled off now, but they are still definitely up. And this is why I have property management in place. I don't have to deal with the vast majority of this myself, but it is frustrating. There is no doubt about it. But when I add the pluses on the tax side of things, being especially New York State, which I'm just going to that's why I live in Florida now. There's no polite way of putting it, is a tax nightmare. Okay. Just as a quick reference point for those outside of New York State or even inside, you probably already know, a $300,000 house the city assessed value of a $300,000 house, your taxes are close to $9,000 to $10,000 a year. Okay. So that's just, it gets up there really quick. Okay. There's never enough money for every city. And I think that's true of every city in the United States. They never have enough money. Okay. There's always something. I was shocked today. I was coming back from the post office on my back roads route. The pothole that has been there for like 8 months is filled. It is actually filled because it's in that perfect placement for your wheels. It can't be wherever to the side or in the center. It's got to be right there where you hit it, or you got to squeeze over to the side, etc. But in essence, I just wanted to share some experiences on the eviction side of things. Make sure you document everything.
Huge.
I don't know who coined this quote, whether it was Reagan or somebody else. I'm a trust but verified person. In other words, don't believe what they necessarily tell you. Okay. And obviously do your due diligence. That's really what it boils. Just like a fix and flip. Don't trust the numbers. Please don't take it the wrong way. Realtor, oh yeah, I can sell that for $350 in a heartbeat. Okay. 90 days later at 305 and you still haven't sold it.
Right.
Okay. Same thing with, this. You got to keep on top of them. And we use that 6-month inspection thing. Also the lease, everything has to be on the lease. We also put extra little things in the lease, as stupid as it sounds. besides who's paying the utilities, depending on the scenario, who's responsible for taking the trash out to the road? Got to think about that. Who, in our area, snow removal. Okay?
Oh, yeah.
We actually have a lawsuit going against us for a person that tripped in the parking lot claiming that we did not properly shovel the walkway. Okay. She didn't lose any work time or whatever, but the pain, suffering. Oh my God, my shoulder, I can barely move it, etc. But I'll settle for $20,000.
Oh my gosh.
The insurance company is going to pay off on it. They won't even, they're just going to probably settle for 10, write a check to 10 to the attorney. The attorney's probably going to get 5% of that, 5 or 50% of it, probably $5,000. It's the billboard type attorney.
Right.
Okay. Injured in a car, slip and fall, call William Attar, whatever, etc. But, overall, I have to say it's a positive. I mean, there is some frustration, but don't kid yourself. The real estate world is full of that. You're always going to have that. Even in the commercial world, you're going to have that as well. Okay. Fix and flips can be problems with contractors. I mean, you as a coach and myself as a coach, what's one of the biggest things you hear about when they're doing a fix and flip? Cost overruns. The contractor said he can do this for $30,000. We're already at 50. Okay. I understand things can happen. Don't get me wrong, but it can be a challenge, and especially in that fix and flip world in certain communities. I have one student in Chicago. It's 6 months to get permits. Well, if you're borrowing money from hard money,
right,
this is a big thing now. Like, I need to stall the payments until we get the permits, because otherwise you're just literally bleeding cash every month. Okay. So what questions can I answer for you? It may have gone through your mind on evictions before we wrap up for today.
I mean, Rob, I always learn so much from our conversations. And the biggest takeaway from this one is that 6-month check. And I'm absolutely going to start implementing that. I am grateful that we have a property management company in place for we have a 12 unit, but our single family homes, we self-manage those. And that is definitely something that we are going to add in there. That was a fantastic nugget.
One other thing I highly recommend, definitely recommend, if you're doing it yourself, we would not accept cash as a form of payment. Okay. It has to be a check, a money order, or wire the money. We try to get the ACH or to have them wire, not an ACH, we'll just suck it out of their account. It's easier for us. Okay. But I have seen nightmare stories where people, will go and collect rent and something happens and they end up injured or, God forbid, dead. There is our past company that we learned from. There was an article, this is probably 8 years ago. I think it was Kentucky or West Virginia. I'm not picking on that area. He went to collect the rent and the guy's behind, and unfortunately she's a widow. I don't know what happened totally, but it was fully documented in police reports. He took a shotgun blast to the chest area.
Oh my goodness. Wow. Well,
so I don't collect. I try to, if a person sees me in any of my properties, 98% of the time, they do not know who I am.
Yes.
There's a couple minor exceptions. I have one person who's been with me for 15 years. She's this little old lady. She is the best. She always pays. If she, she's good as gold. She's a little snitch. Do you know that, it's a $6. Do you know that up on the 3rd floor, that's a single mom and she's pregnant. You can tell. I was like, yeah, that's, okay. I don't really care. Well, you should care because she'll be claiming maternity leave and that might affect your income. Like, she cares about my income.
I love this. Well, it is always a pleasure to have you on here to tell your stories because you give great detail. And like I said, I always learn something from our conversations. But the second, and we'll do this quickly, second part of the podcast is what makes Rob McIntosh a badass. And I use the acronym BADASS, and the first letter is B for book. So what's a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I mean, there's two I can think of. The classic Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. a newer book it's been out a while, Rental Property Investing by Brandon Turner. That's a
Oh,
really good one. Brandon's written several books, but I like that one, Rental Property Investing, written by Brandon Turner. That he would be an excellent read or audiobook, either or.
I just started I bought, excuse me, I haven't started it yet, the multifamily one that he did for the
Yep.
larger multifamily. So
Right.
excellent. Yeah,
Yep.
he's fantastic. All right. The first A in Badass is for advice. You gave us a ton of advice today. So what's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
I still think the best piece of advice ever is I mentioned here just a couple minutes ago, the trust but verify.
Yes,
Whether that's in fixing, flipping, or in rentals, you got to do your own due diligence.
absolutely. All right. The D in Badass is for drive. What drives you to be successful?
I know it sounds crazy. It's just me. Okay. In the sense that I enjoy it. I'm not growing up in an entrepreneurial family. My parents, my grandparents, they all own their own businesses. Whether some still own them now, some are still in work, in existence, some have been sold, etc. But I can't sit still. I have to do something. I can't imagine doing retirement and sitting there. Hey, let's go to the grocery store. That's our big adventure this week.
Well, I have known you for years and I can't ever imagine you slowing down. So, all right. The second A in Badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
My goal is to continue building my rental portfolio. As I mentioned, I'm not doing the flips as much anymore unless it's a grand slam. Looking for bigger commercial deals. Okay. I don't buy the single family homes anymore unless it is an absolutely, barn burner or whatever. I'm similar to you, looking for the bare minimum 4-plex up to maybe 20-plex.
Yep.
There definitely is economies of scale there.
Definitely. Ugh. All right. The first S in Badass is for systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
Well, I'll give you two. First off, my son does most of our acquisition portion. For anyone who wants to check it out, he does that. That's Bob McIntosh. Actually, for what I'm doing right now, the rentals, my biggest success is talking to property management companies, calling them up and just saying, hey, I'm a real estate investor. I have cash to burn. Here's my buy box. And I'll just list out, do you have any clients of yours presently that may be looking to reposition their investment, their cash in some other item, whether it be a different rental piece of property or stock market or whatever? Give me a call. And then I email them every single month between the 1st and the 5th of the month. We'll send them a general email. Hey, Scott. Hi, Josh. Hey, Peter. Hey, Susan. Just wanted to touch base. I'm still looking for properties. I don't want to inundate them like every freaking day. Okay. Like a particular company or individual. I swear I get 2 emails from him every day. Okay. The one I will say, his taglines intrigue me. Okay. I will say that. The one today, I know I'm going off tangent. The one today, open this up as soon as possible because I'm flying to Istanbul to get hair replacement. I'm like, yeah, you're going to fly all the way to Turkey, if that, I believe, is where Istanbul is, okay, to get hair replacement. Okay, yeah, okay, sure. So, in essence, just continue doing what I'm doing. I mean, I know your next one is success. I don't mean to take it out. Just be able to do what I enjoy doing, live life the way you want to. That's what's important. There's nothing worse, and I see it all the time. Okay, people getting up and hating what they do every morning.
Oh, absolutely. Okay. And from knowing you, I know you love what you do, and it just shows. And you are such an inspiration to so many. And let's give a quick shout out to Bob, because Bob has been a great partner in my personal business. He's made a couple websites for me, and it's 3 Degree Consulting. So,
3 Degree Consulting. He can help you out on a lot of things, social media wise, website wise, digital marketing wise. I know a lot of people don't really understand what digital marketing is. And something else, check out the website. Okay. or reach out to Jen or reach out to myself. I'll be happy to forward your information over. He's posting a reasonable amount on social media, not a tremendous amount, but a reasonable amount.
Yes, well, I'm a big fan.
He works in the real estate field. He also works in the non-real estate field. So if you have a business that is not real estate related, he has a lot of clients that are doing other businesses besides real estate.
Well, I am a big fan of that ginger Bob McIntosh. So, Rob, thank you so much for being on the show today. Sure. I always learn so much from you, and I am truly honored to call you friend. And again, so grateful to you and for believing in me that I could be a coach. I can remember where the time I spent the most time with you. We were in Jamaica at a retreat.
That was 5 years ago this week or last week or something.
I know the pictures keep coming up, but there was a group of people that had to go up a waterfall, and I'm like,
River Falls.
Yes. And I'm like, hell no. Am I going to depend on people pulling me up there? So you and I sat down with the locals, and you know what happens in Jamaica.
A little bit of our dancing. We're dancing with the stars. We did not make the first cut even.
No, we did not. But I always have such a great time with you, Rob. Thank you so much for being on the show today.
All right. No problem.
Take care. That is all. Thank you for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.